Okay.
Come on. I see no changes. Wake up in the morning and I ask myself, if life worth living, should I blast myself? I'm tired of being born, even worse, I'm black. My stomach hurts, so I'm looking for a person now. Cops give a damn about her needs, bro. Pull a trigger, kill a nigga, he's a heat, bro. Get attacked to the kids, who the hell cares? One less of your mouth.
All right. We're back. That was a little Tupac changes. Rest in peace to Tupac. Definitely made a change. We're back. This show is called A Voice of Movement, and today's show is called A War on Peace, Re-Educating Our Children Through Spirituality. Once again, I'm Fluid. I've got some friends. I got a lot of good friends in here today that I'm going to introduce them in a minute. But I just want to start off this show by once again thanking Steve and everybody at FlintTalkRadio.com for allowing me to have this forum to speak my mind. I think that's important, especially now with so much to say. A lot of people have a lot of things to say, and the internet has provided that outlet for us. So thanks to those guys. Last week, our show was Literacy 911, and as you all know, and I'm going to talk about it every time I'm on the air, I'm going to talk about my book.
Hello.
My first book that I wrote is called Literacy.
Hello.
Someone is saying hello. So we got some people excited already. Y'all got some fans out there?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's quick.
Yeah, well, don't go anywhere, because we got some people out on stickcam.com also watching us live on video. So everybody comb their hair and brush their teeth today, so we're looking good. But my first book, I'm an author from the Flint area, and my first book I wrote is called Literacy Movement Volume 1, presents The Cool, the Cold, and the Wise, a poetic commentary. And it is a poetry book, but I'm also promoting literacy. I got involved with literacy probably about 6 months ago. Didn't know much about the problem of literacy, and once I found out about it, it became a real passion of mine, and I've been promoting it ever since. Been writing for 15 years, and this is my first book. So you can see it out there, and if you want to purchase this book, you can go to Global Media Network LLC.com, and you'll hear that again before the night is over. But our first show, like I said tonight, well, not my first show. This is actually my fourth or fifth show, but it keeps getting better and better. Every week it feels like my first show. So I got a couple good guests here today. And I actually call her a friend, even though
they're
I
on
just
the
met
phone
her
now.
a couple
It's like a
weeks
radio
ago.
station.
We were standing in line, waiting to see, getting our tickets for Barack Obama, right? Yeah, we were. That's where we met. Barack Obama came to the Flint area, and we were standing in line to get our tickets, and we struck up a conversation. And this is a very passionate woman when it comes to education and peace. And her name is Linda Pickett, along with Chris Bradshaw. Y'all giving them a hand out there. And I told them before we came on the air I was going to brag on them, so I'm definitely going to do that. Miss Linda Pickett, I like I said, I didn't realize how impressive her resume was as an educator, having her Ph.D. and her master's in education. And she has taught so many classes that I can't even, we don't even have enough time. But she's been a professor at University of Michigan Flint, currently the associate professor she's the chairperson for early childhood, the early childhood department. And she's taught a litany of classes when it comes to education, among others, advanced study of early childhood integrated curriculum. We'll talk more about the integrated curriculum a little later because I'm real interested in that. Understanding working with parents of young children. I think we all need that nowadays. Also, emergent literacy, which I definitely want to get into that a little later on also. She got her degree from the University of New Mexico. She's been a professor. Yeah, what's their mascot? The Lobos? Is that what it is? Okay. Yeah, she's also taught at the University of North Florida. She was the associate professor in the Department of Curriculum and Instructions. She was also the assistant professor in the education department in U of M Flint from 1999 to the year 2000. And she's taught in Albuquerque public schools, first and second grade. And how do you say that, Linda? What is that?
Multi-age.
Multi-age. See, I'm not the sharpest tool in the drawer. You know, I was trying to make it complicated. Right. But and also I have with me Ms. Chris Bradshaw. She's currently teaching 5th grade, and you're gonna have to help me with the name of that school again, Linda. Linda, Chris.
McMonagle Elementary School.
McMonagle. Say that again.
McMonagle Elementary School.
McMonagle. See, you gotta sound your words out. You know, I had to tell my little niece that if you don't know it, take your time and sound it out. And she's currently pursuing her doctorate
at Oakland University.
At Oakland University. And they're just here to help us all understand a lot more about literacy and the different approach that they're taking to education. So, Linda, I kind of opened up the door. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got here?
Well, actually, I left the classroom. I taught kindergarten through 2nd grade multicultural classes and loved it.
I'm sorry to break in. You need to talk a little bit closer. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I was a classroom teacher for a number of years and absolutely loved it. It was the most joyful experience of my life, really. But I saw the kind of political winds changing and the opportunity to nurture children, to respect children, to help foster them achieving their potential was becoming less and less easy to do. The joy was leaving the classroom in pursuit of political agendas. So, and I also have a number of, I was doing research and graduate work, so I decided I wanted to teach teachers and create an army of people who would be passionate and care about what matters for children. So I ended up here. We had a wonderful, well, in some ways wonderful partnership between the University of Michigan Flint and Westwood Heights, and I met Chris and Diane, and they were two of a very few brave souls who joined with me to create peaceful classrooms and really go against the grain of the school in terms of meeting the needs of children and fostering them and creating positive, safe, peaceful classrooms. And it's been a phenomenal experience that has grown.
Right.
And our first step to changing the world.
Okay. So what about you, Chris? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've taught elementary school for 15 years now, and I'm at a point in my career where I feel like I have more to do. I really love being in the classroom with the kids, but I'm finding a need to, like Linda said, go out and make an army of people that really care about kids and care about what they have to say and directions they want to go in. So I'm pursuing my doctorate and hoping to get into some program where I can really affect the bigger picture.
Right. And I'm just going to jump right into it in terms of teaching philosophies. Linda, can you talk a little bit about over the years kind of what you learned in terms of, I'm sure when you first get into teaching or education, you kind of they kind of say, here's the map, follow this map, and you kind of start out that way, but as you get into the educational system, you start seeing how things can be different or be better. So can you talk a little bit about how it was for you as when you first got into teaching and how you developed your own teaching philosophy or style over the years?
I think my experience is a little different than most of the people I meet, because I did go to school at the University of New Mexico for all of my degrees, and all of my courses, everything revolved around multicultural education. There was a strong commitment to social justice issues, diversity, to really peace work, even though we didn't call it that. And a lot of things that students today will tell me, these are new strategies, that they're not. They're old things that we were doing when I started teaching that somehow haven't made it into all classrooms. But
like what? I'm curious.
Like the integrated curriculum, like integrating arts, science, math with literacy, with life skills, with social emotional. the social emotional realm being a foundation, just like you have your physical needs met, your social emotional needs. You have to deal with those things.
Okay, that's the integrated style.
Well, and it's interdisciplinary. It's not like now's math, now's science, now's social studies, but rather you would have perhaps a theme or a project, and you teach all of those things within this project, more like life.
Okay,
like how you don't just do, okay, I'm doing reading now, and you don't do anything else, but you read you read the newspaper, you read before you watch TV to see what's on, you read before you go shopping, in addition to reading for, pleasure or any kind of information. It's part of life. Math is part of your life. It's not just sitting down doing worksheets, and it's an attempt to make it more meaningful and richer. And then the multicultural piece was huge, and really for me it was education became a real adventure. And I was never taught, here's a cookbook, now do it, but rather to be the complexities of life, of teaching and children as individuals. And then I was fortunate in the schools that I taught in where that was honored more so than now that I'm out in other places. I'm shocked that how far we are from what could be.
Right. So what was it like for you, Chris? I mean, which I'm sure it's a contrast from how it started for Linda. So what was it like for you? Diane's laughing. Oh, we got Diane over here also. She's
hiding in the corner.
She's hiding in the corner, but we can see her. Y'all can't. So.
My experience has definitely been hugely different than Linda's. I went through my college. I got very regimented. We're having a reading methods for my one class and my math methods. And so when I got a job, it was very natural to readings from 9 to 10 and math from 10 to 11 and then lunch and that sort of thing. And with the increase of expectations from the state and the government, it's very difficult to go where you need to with kids.
Right.
They don't teach you in college, kids are going to come hungry, kids are going to come upset. Right. Kids are going to come.
I teach that in college.
Okay, I never got to have Linda in college.
Right.
So it takes a while it took a while for me to really understand I got to meet the kid where they are instead of it's 8:30, it's math time. Okay. I've had many experiences where kids will come in and they didn't have a winter coat to come into school that morning, and I'm like, okay, sit down and do math.
Right.
But I'm cold or I'm hungry or...
How can you learn if
exactly.
It's like 20 degrees? I mean, your body is not ready to learn. Because you said something interesting about increased expectations from the state. What type is that, through test scores or?
The Michigan, the MEAP is staring us all down. By the year 2013, I think everybody's supposed to have 100% success rate. And not all kids are going to master that test. You're not going to have every third grader reading in third grade reading level. Some kids aren't ready in third grade.
Right.
So it makes it very challenging when the state's saying you're going to take this test in October, excuse me, regardless of where you're at reading ability. So here we are as teachers, we have all these pressures, but then the kid comes in. So do I meet the kid where they're at and hopefully make the gains, or do I just start pounding them?
Right.
So it's difficult to go from that college land to getting a job where there's expectations from your administrator and parents and everybody, but then you got this little person in the corner just waiting to be loved and waiting to get what they need, and then the academic entitlement.
And can I just add that little person, whatever challenges they have when they come in, that's a brilliant little person. That's a gifted person, and we have to build upon their gifts, not try to fit them in a box where they don't fit. Right. It's like probably the reason we can fly from place to place today is because the Wright brothers had a very wise mother who said, sure, play in the backyard. You don't have to go to school because they're not treating you right. They were bored. So they messed around in the backyard. They played, they created, they became very brilliant through that. In school, they probably would have zoned out and been labeled failures. And, meet them where they are and you find that they are truly brilliant, loving, wonderful people who only want to be that and to receive that.
So how do you, with the baby boomers and a lot of teachers retiring, from now on, and a lot of newer, younger teachers coming in, how would you tell a new teacher how do you teach a child in the public school system when they need so much more outside of just, learn your numbers or, read this book in 2 weeks? How do you nurture that spiritual side? Or children come to school and they just seen their father beat their mother last night. I mean, Linda, how do you teach those children?
Well, those were the children that I taught as well. And what my philosophy was, I can't necessarily change what's happening outside of even my classroom, my school. What I can do is with the children, create a classroom that is what could be. How can we be together that's different than that? That where we treat each other well, we support each other. First, we create that climate where we're supporting each other, we're helping each other, we're holding each other accountable to be responsible for being good citizens in the classroom. And then we are also helping each other with learning, and if you start where the child is, they'll learn. You can't. It's like you can't get to the roof without a ladder.
Right.
You've got to start. If you're on the ground, you need a ladder to get to that roof, or you need a bridge to get across the gully, or whatever it is.
Right.
You can't just. I go to Northern Ireland and visit the integrated schools there that were started because of, in response to centuries of violence between Catholics and Protestants. Parents started one school, borrowed money, begged for supplies, used an abandoned building, and their approach was that first and foremost they wanted a place where people learned to get along, to develop self-esteem, mutual respect, an understanding and respect for diversity, and every child is cherished for who they are. And the expectations in that country for academic achievement are very, very high. So I was
going to ask you, their expectations versus the United States expectations, do they put the same focus on test scores and making a grade? I mean,
in different ways. Well, the integrated schools are different than the Catholic or Protestant sectors, where it's a very segregated society. Only in integrated schools do they come together for education, really. They do not have the same kind of testing. I would say their expectations are higher. They're not easier because the state test doesn't test what children have learned. It tests the trivial pursuit kind of thing, maybe. It's culturally biased. There are a lot of problems with it, and it could be used as a big picture, how do we improve, or what should we focus on in our schools, rather than individual children, and it's just used kind of inappropriately. They have tests they call Key Stage 1 tests, which is about third grade, where very, very important, and they're published. The test scores are published, but they're not used to punish or stratify. They're more so used to say, diagnostically, we need to start focusing on this more. I see we're really strong in this area. Maybe we need to start looking at how we're teaching this. It's not a punitive. Then they have the 11 plus test, which is at the end of primary school. Students take a test that determines whether they go to grammar or secondary school, college track or vocational track.
So that's in, I don't mean to cut you off, but that's different from United States schools. And I want to get more into this integrated school system a little later, but it's different from U.S. schools where it's like you pass from the 5th grade and you just go to the 6th grade. I mean, it's not, what you're saying is that they take a test to decide which way they're going to go versus it seems like. Except
the integrated sector doesn't believe that they do fully inclusive schools, so that all children. I mean, they don't test who can get into the integrated colleges, and the children who go to integrated colleges are very bright. They do quite well, go on to university. So it's not a less than. It's just they've chosen to do it in an inclusive kind of way. I would say that they're clear about their stratification in that way. We have other ways of doing it that we pretend it's on merit, but we have other ways of doing it.
So Chris, being you still teaching in the public school system currently? How are you? What grade are you teaching?
5th grade.
You're teaching 5th grade. So 5th grade is a pretty important grade. I mean, because that's like the grade right before middle school. I'm getting ready to get married, and my soon-to-be stepdaughter is going to the 4th grade this year. And what me and my fiance noticed was that there's something happens like when you're going into the 4th grade, that 4th, 5th, and going into middle school. What are you seeing in the 5th grade classroom that makes it so pivotal for a student to be prepared to go to middle school?
As far as kids getting ready to go to middle school, it's a huge shock. I mean, you go from this elementary setting where you have one or maybe two teachers in a safe environment, not that middle school is a dangerous environment, but you're kind of in a bubble, and you're working together, and you're kind of all moving in the same direction. And you go to middle school, and it's pretty much now you're on your own. Mm-hmm. And if you're not failing, if you're not passing, you're on your own.
Right.
You know, somebody might check in on you, but that's just it. If you're not making your credits, you drop out. You go to the alternative ed program, you drop out. So it becomes less and less structured and family-oriented and really digging into the kid. But kids are so intent on, I'm going to middle school next year, so I need to start acting like a middle schooler.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't nick my teacher as much,
right.
And that sort of business. And really in 4th and 5th grade, kids, you know, that hormone level,
right.
and what other kids are thinking is really important. So it's really it's important to take the time and really set up the atmosphere in your classroom where it's safe to take risks and still safe to do.
How do you do that? How do you set up an environment where it's safe to take risks?
In my classroom, I do circle time every day.
Okay.
We get together, we have our greeting, we have a discussion question. We do what we need to do as a group or a family so that we can move on with our day. We do that first thing when we walk in the door. Mm-hmm. So if we did have a bad morning on the bus, or we got in trouble in the breakfast room, or we were running in the hallway and we're agitated, we take care of that first step.
And you can get that all out the way and kind of breathe before you actually start learning.
That's right, because if somebody gets in a fight on the bus, they're not ready for math when they come in the door. So, and a lot of times we'll do circle time again in the afternoon after recess.
Right.
If we just need to relax and kind of regroup, come back, we always play a little game at the end and kind of, okay, we're ready for class now. Kids get to a point where they ask for it.
Right.
And if you don't do it one day, you're in big trouble with them, because that's our way of doing things.
Now, is that something that you have to get cleared through the principal, or is that something that you can just, I know we're getting into it now, you know, we starting to see
Let's back it up.
how much freedom or power or powerlessness we have as educators. So, I mean, that's what I want to get out here.
One of the things that this takes me back to a question you asked about teaching new teachers is, you are required to teach a certain curriculum. There's standards, there's certain knowledge base, and with circle time, you can so easily show how that supports those standards. Critical thinking, language development, listening skills,
collaboration.
Oh, just huge. I mean, it's such a broad spectrum of knowledge and skills that students need within there. So I don't know how, I mean, I think you should be able to justify anything you do in a classroom. If you don't know why you're doing it, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Right,
but anyway,
right.
So this is one of those strategies. I just wanted to...
I mean, do you have to get permission from the principal to do that? Or?
You know, when we first started this partnership, I was introduced to Linda, and she came in and she talked about circle time, and I said, oh, that sounds like a good idea. And it was more one of those things of who wants to try it, and I don't know how to say no, so of course I jumped right on, and there was a few of us that really dug into it. It does take time and just kind of a commitment as a teacher to put it into your day.
Right.
Some people will say, oh, well, you're just playing games for 20 minutes. I mean, as Linda said, there's such a benefit to your day, benefit to the kids, benefit to their educational setting. It's not really taking any time away. It's adding time. So, yep, my science lesson might be 20 minutes shorter, but I can also address science in circle time.
Right.
So it wasn't a matter of having to get permission, and it's also not a matter of, well, Mrs. So-and-so next door is not doing it. I can still do it because it's what's best for me and my kids.
Okay.
If I had my druthers, we'd all be doing it.
Right.
But again, it takes a commitment. If you're going to do it building-wide, the administrator has to commit to it, and then bring people on board and make them understand the process and show them the meaning behind it instead of, here's a book, try it.
Right.
It's a different orientation, too, towards classroom management, job guidance, rather than seeing children's behaviors and problems as something you've got to get rid of.
Right.
You know, a problem, you see those incidents as teachable moment kinds of things. You reach a solution together. They're doing something for a reason.
Yeah.
Let's get to that and help them develop the skills to solve their problems in ways that respect others, that respect themselves.
Yeah. So the problem is a lot of people will say, well, you know, whatever problems the children have, you need to check those at the door, and when you come to class, you need to learn. But I mean, how does that you can't do that? I mean, how do you separate that?
How many people there are whole industries based on the fact that we can't do that as human beings. There are people in therapy, they spend a lot of money on recreation because we can't do that.
Right.
We're whole people. And that's why teachers have sick days and personal days, because we know that people have lives.
Right. So should kids have sick days and personal days? I mean,
it's a good question.
If they need them, or maybe come into school as that sick day or personal day where you help them process and work through. It's
part of growing up is learning how to solve your problems and how to move past that, live in the moment kind of a deal. Instead of, I'm not going to tell you check your problem at the door, but I am going to tell you let's sit down, let's talk about it. If you need a few minutes to regroup, okay, we got an area in the room. You go, if you need to talk to another student, you want to handle it, you know, in a nonviolent way, you're welcome to do that. If you just need quiet time and then come talk to me, we can do it. Each kid handles their problems in a different way, and it's about figuring that out and getting them to verbalize, I need some quiet time right now. Okay, go hang out over there and read a book, and when you're ready to talk to me or ready to talk to Circle, join us.
Right.
So, and I think as a teacher, you get really wrapped up in, I got to do reading, I got to do math, I got to do writing.
Right.
But it's hard to set that kid over there. But if you really dig into what people need, give them what they need, it sometimes only takes a few minutes.
Right.
Sometimes it might take a half hour, but in the long run, they still have 6 hours a day left.
Right.
And if you don't do it, then you're spending the whole day dealing with discipline problems.
Yeah, because I've seen, I won't mention the school that I've been in 3 times because I know a teacher at that school, but went to this school 3 times, and I've seen this same child sitting in a corner just by himself. I guess you call it discipline, but I mean, you tell me to go sit in a corner for 20 minutes. I mean, it's not helping the situation. But then you're going to have people say, well, teachers aren't counselors. You know, your job is to teach. Your job is to counsel. So I mean, what do you say to that?
I think we've learned a lot about how people learn. We know more about the brain. We know more. I mean, for many years in early childhood education, there's been this holistic notion of how people learn and how we are. The spiritual, physical, social, emotional, and intellectual are intertwined. They're not separate pieces. And we've known that. Now, but, you know, early childhood was mostly women and, you know, women. We didn't get a lot of the credibility that I think should have had. However, now we've got all of this science in neurobiology, and we've got hard scientists saying that the brain is this complex network of things are intertwined. You know, and we know that the emotions affect how the brain functions. We know that if we are overly stressed, that the brain produces cortisol, which inhibits processing. We have so much information about how people learn, and that we know we can't just not address the social emotional, because that impacts learning.
Right.
And any teacher that doesn't think that they're a counselor and a mother and a father and a nurse and a fireman, and you have to be everything in your classroom. And if you're only a teacher, you need to find a different job.
Right.
Because being a teacher is you spend more time with these children than they spend with their parents on most days.
Right.
9 months of the year you're with these kids, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. Most parents don't see their kids that often, many hours a day. So if you can't be a counselor, you need to find another job, because you are the counselor. You're the mother, you're the father, you're that third person in their life, or first person sometimes.
Right.
If you can't care.
Yeah.
Caring.
Right. And speaking of caring, we're going to definitely get into some caring when we get back. Linda and Chris are part of a summer program that's taking place that we're going to talk about when we get back. I'm Fluid, and this is a Voice of Movement, and this show is entitled War on Peace, Re-Educating Our Children Through Spirituality. So we're going to take a break, we're going to pay some bills, and we'll be right back. Get that book.
BlogTalkRadio.com.
FlintTalk.com, the place where people can... Whoa! I'm not sure where that guy is from, but he's not from Flint. I am from Flint. Hi, this is comedian Brian McCree. And whether I'm home or on the road making people laugh, I always check out FlintTalk.com to see what people are talking about. So if you've got an opinion, post it on FlintTalk.com. As a comedian, I always have an opinion. For instance, I'm really starting to regret the invention of the cell phone. It's gone way past cool to just straight up annoying. I don't need you in front of me at Walgreens chirping away on the next Dell to Mom and them talking about what flavored Doritos y'all want. And does the entire store and everybody in the 2-block radius need to know that your mama wants nacho cheese flavored? Take that crap off speakerphone. We want your opinion. While you're there, hit the Brian McCree link. Listen to clips off my new CD or watch my hilarious new short film, Flint is Safe. FlintTalk.com. Tell your friends about it.
rentabum.net. Advertise on our network of urban mobile street signs and help out the less fortunate at the same time. Here's how it works. You place an order. We customize our signs with your message. We will take your pictures and movies of your signs in action and post the pictures and movies here and email copies to you. It's that easy. We use nice white boards, not cardboard. Your message appears at the bottom of the sign in bold letters. Our workers handwrite their messages, keeping with tradition. We patrol the routes to ensure our workers are manning their post. So next time you have to get the word out, think of us. rentabum.net. Check out our website for rates.
Got to thinking. What's missing out here?
Yeah. She can get a lot. She never calls the cops on you, though, so that was... She calls the cops on everybody, or she used to.
Yeah. That's my phone playing right there. Pieces of the Puzzle. That little piece you heard a song called Pieces of the Puzzle that I actually wrote and was co-produced by Izzy from One Life Productions. So we're back. The voice of movement, War on Peace. War on Peace, re-educating our children through spirituality. Hey, y'all having a good time out there? This is a spirited discussion with Linda and Chris. I got a little behind the scenes about people getting the cops called on them and having to run out to school with the kids. I mean, it's I'm telling you, it's serious out here. It's serious, and the reason why I call it a war on peace because we are at a war, and it's a struggle taking place for our children and for our future. I mean, so many people they just want to throw this generation away. Not just kids, but adults too. They just trying to throw it all away and just go to Mars or something. I mean, and it's some of us that we're not having it. We're going to stay down here and we're going to fight and we're going to save this culture. And one thing I wanted to say, I didn't say at the beginning of the show. Last week, some people were in the chat room and they weren't agreeing with some of the things that we were talking about literacy and about No Child Left Behind and about the government. And I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm a truth teller. I'm just going to tell the truth. So I'm voting on the issues. I'm not voting on the candidates. And if you disagree with something that we're talking about, I urge you, please call in. I don't know if we got anybody in there, Steve, or the number, but I mean, you can email me at lanceblazer@gmail.com if you got something that you want to say. I'm open, but I'm not here to politicize this. Even though I got on my Barack Obama pen, and I am voting for Barack Obama. So please vote for Barack Obama in the November elections. But email me. I mean, definitely, but don't try to shut this down because you can't shut down freedom of speech. So you got your opinions, I got mine, and we're just going to go off the facts. So just had to say that, and definitely want to say a big thanks to Economy Printing. Jeff, he supported me with some flyers. Oh, before we move on, I got a book signing coming up. And actually, Linda bought one of my books, so I think she read the whole thing while we were in line waiting for Obama. We were out there for what, like 3 hours?
At least 3 hours.
Yeah, so I have a book signing coming up July the 12th from 4 to 6 p.m. It's going to be at Borders Books, and that's 4135 Miller Road. That's in Flint, Michigan. So actually, corporate didn't want this book sign to happen because my publisher, they have a no return policy. And Sean, the general manager, actually said that he pushed for this because we're promoting literacy. And that was real important. So we need everybody out there to come out July the 12th from 4 to 6 p.m. That's on a Saturday. And if you got your book already, a lot of people out there already got it. Come out and see the spoken word. If you haven't got your book, come out and purchase the book, listen to some spoken word, and we're going to have discussions like this going on. But I want to get back into this with Linda and Chris because it's getting pretty good. I know a lot of y'all out there watching got young children that are in elementary and junior high. But I can really feel the energy in terms of this whole movement. I call it the movement picking up. I mean, you've been doing this for years, and Chris, you've been doing it for years. But I was watching Charlie Rose 2 nights ago, who's a late night talk show host, and he had Bob Wise. Bob Wise is, I guess he used to be a politician in West Virginia, and he actually wrote a book called Raising the Grade, and he started an organization called Alliance for Excellence. And he was on Charlie Rose's show talking about literacy. And just real quick, he said something real interesting, that the United States is 21st in science and 25th in math in the world. 21st. And we're supposed to be the number 1 country on earth. I mean, 21st in science. I mean, we can't even send anybody to the moon anymore. I mean, math. I mean, how are we gonna? I mean, I think I even heard that they're scrapping the project to rebuild the Twin Towers. I mean, you know, if this is our future, and like he said, real interesting. He said 1 million students dropped out of school last year.
No, they were pushed out.
Pushed out. Pushed out. Why do you say pushed out?
They were pushed out because of a system that doesn't meet their needs. That if they don't fit in little squares, if they don't accommodate fit, if you're too creative, too questioning, too bright, that's a problem. If you're not learning what on the timetable the school has set for you, that's a problem. If you don't tolerate boredom and nonsense well, that's a problem. If you're not obedient to sometimes nonsense efforts, there's so many reasons that they're pushed out that they don't need to be. I mean, I always say there's prison track. You know, little 5-year-olds who are suspended or put in ISS for behaving like 5-year-olds, right? For not knowing how to behave. That's prison track punishment. You know, you're never taught what you should know, but. Now, I don't think people. I think it's a rational choice for some people because school is just such a hard place to be that they leave.
Right. What are you seeing, Chris, in grade 5 in terms of what Linda was just saying about behavior and behavior versus punishment? I mean, what types of behavior are they exhibiting in the 5th grade? I mean, because like you say, the hormones are raging and. You know, some little boys that may be getting a little mustache, and little girls who've grown up with their menstrual or what have you. I mean, so what type of behavior you're seeing, and what are the consequences for those types of behavior at that age?
I think the most disappointing thing for me is that we have 5th grade students, 10-year-olds, that hate school, hate reading, hate math, and they can verbalize to you. They don't like it because Mrs. So-and-so told them they were a bad reader or they weren't good at math. So it's taken one little comment to create this inner angst for them, and it goes from year to year to year. And I don't care how the kid behaves. Every kid that comes back to me on September 4th or whatever date it is wants to start over.
Right.
On a new leaf. And they may make it a couple of days, and other kids coming around, issues come up with other adults, and they're right back to what it was last year. They're frustrated, they're upset, it goes right back to that, well, you're bad at reading.
Right.
So it's like this constant inner voice of, you're not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not good enough, you have to try to get somebody to laugh at you so that you can feel good. Or you have to get somebody's attention. So instead of asking a question or participating socially appropriate or whatever, I'm going to hit you.
Right.
Sometimes playing around, it gets out of control. And instead of bringing that kid over and saying, you know, what's going on, we're just going to send you off to the ISS room.
Right.
And the older they get, the less opportunity there is for discussion and problem solving.
Mm.
So they come to me with 5th grade already with that demeanor of, you know, I'm not a good kid, so I can't act good.
You should go in the classroom. There's a different feeling there. Even with a very difficult group of students, you go in and there's a feeling of community, there's respect, and when they talk in circle about really serious issues, their level of thinking, the sophistication and the respect that they show. So even in those short few months you have them, it makes a big difference.
Right. And we talk about making changes, and that's why I played that Tupac Shakur track in the beginning, because a lot of people are making changes. And one of the things, Linda, that you're doing, you have a summer program. It's called Creating a Caring World Summer Program that I'm definitely down with, and I'm going to come out one day and participate in. But can you talk a little bit about what the summer program is and where it is and everybody that's involved with it?
Yeah, well, it's at University of Michigan Flint, and Chris and Diane and I and Debbie Snow and a couple of student volunteers are going to be there probably every day for a full week. We got a small grant from the Biosophical Foundation to buy supplies and materials. Westwood Heights is helping with transportation. The university is providing space, computers, and then we're soliciting donations for, to provide opportunities for students. So we're just on a real shoestring budget, but we're very excited about it. We decided, it just came about from a conversation we had at Westwood at lunch. She was worried about meeting children's needs. Chris was saying, oh, these kids, I wish I could do this and this, and I wish I could have a summer program, and I said, well, let's have one. And so we decided to have one, and it's called Creating a Caring World. We want to start with listening to students. What do they care about? What are they concerned about? What are they thinking about? And then exploring those issues through various mediums, through poetry, literature, art, music, theater, film, nature. And so they'll learn about the issues they care about, and then also about how to be an active participant, how to make the world a better place, how to do nonviolent problem solving, nonviolent communication, to create to empower their voices through whatever medium they choose.
What's a typical day going to be like with the summer program?
We have a lot of things put in bags, waiting to open. We have several things that we definitely want to include every day. We're going to do circle time. We're going to do a bunch of writing. Looking at literature, really digging into some poetry, really looking at words and how it affects people with music, without music, that sort of thing.
Right.
But our lunch program is going to be about healthy choices and really showing kids varieties of food from around the world. But then the afternoon is really dedicated to exposing kids to things they wouldn't normally see in a regular school day, but then allowing them to take it on whatever avenue they want. If we talked about some philosophy in the morning through our writing, and you're really interested, maybe in the afternoon we do a little internet research, maybe we go talk to people that are passionate about that mode, and getting them to express it in the means that they want. If they want to write a song about it, if they want to do a poster board, if they want to go out and talk to people about it. It's allowing kids choice based on their own interests, which we don't ever get time for in a regular classroom.
Right. Is it going to be, how many students are going to be, do you have signed up?
I think we're about 20 right now.
Okay.
But we've had a couple of kids call and say, well, I know the jazz is coming, can I come too? So I'm anticipating we're really going to end up with more than that.
Right.
I mean, it'd be nice to have all the kids participate. So
also, this is our seed we're planting for a school. We are going to create a school. a model school. We're hoping for it to be a model, a demonstration to just really disprove all of those notions of, well, we can't do that because we don't have time. We can't do that because kids need to be punished. We can't do that because those kids. You know, you hear so much blame, so many excuses, and instead our philosophy will be, this is what we need to do, now how are we going to do it? You know, and meeting the needs of children and using a curriculum that is interesting and meaningful and supports children's interests and passions. And it will be, you know, I don't know when we'll get it done, but it will be sooner probably than we thought. And this is our seed we're planting, and we're growing from that.
Well, yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to be involved with it just from a writer and an artist perspective. I mean, is there a cost for the program?
It's free.
It's free.
It's free.
You don't get too much for free these days, so.
Like Linda said, we got a partial grant, and we're kind of out pounding the pavement, begging from everybody. So if anybody has any extra cash, drop it off.
Yeah, well, why don't you let them know out there where they can get in contact with either one of you if someone wants to donate, especially.
Or through the Dean's office, the Dean of School of Education and Human Services, Beulah Alexander. Her number is 810-766-6878. She's coordinating volunteers, so I think she would probably.
And we're also looking for individuals who have a passion that want to share it with others. I mean, just having you come in as an author, it really lends that authentic voice. I can teach writing all day long, but I don't have that cute book at the end of the day. And kids really grab onto that. You're a real author. So they have real quality questions that I couldn't necessarily give them, you know, just based on my research. But you're somebody that has done it and been in the trenches, so it's real authentic for them. So we're looking for anybody. We have music people coming out. You're coming out and visiting with us. We have gardeners coming out. We're going to go down to the farmer's market. We have lots of things that we can pull out as kids show an interest in it. So we don't want to pigeonhole anybody in this is what it is.
Right.
But if they show an interest, we want to have that resource available for them.
Is there an age range?
Right now we have about
4 to 14.
Yeah. Elementary to middle school. You know, high school kids, come on out. We'll have a great time.
Yeah. What's that number again? You said it's 810 if they want to volunteer or donate?
810-766-6878.
It's 810-766-6878, and you want to ask for?
Beulah Alexander.
Or if you forget the telephone number, you can also email me at Lance Blazer, LanceBlazer @gmail.com, and I can definitely get any message or any information to Linda or Chris or Diane over there, looking cool. I want to see you with those shades on. But man, we really could talk all day, and I think we've just hit the tip of the iceberg when it comes to re-education, because I think that's the phase that we're in now, because what we've done has only worked to a certain degree, and it's time to just kind of pull the cover off what we know will work and start to implement that. And there's a lot of politics that's involved in that, and it really just starts with doing what we're doing, just doing it ourselves, and not waiting on anybody, be it the government or local politicians. Not saying anything against those groups, but it's up to us. I mean, we have the power to control our society. So, you ladies got anything you want to add before we get out of here? Well, I'm going to do a little piece of poetry before we leave, so if y'all want to add something, go right ahead before I kind of take over the mic.
Come out and spend some time with kids, read some books to kids, and enjoy reading at all costs.
Linda, give us a wise word before we go.
No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure.
Care.
Care. That's it. And the name of the program is, again?
Create a Caring World.
Create a Caring World. Do you plan on taking this all across the country. I know this is right here in Flint is where this is happening. A lot of people think nothing's happening in Flint, and it's a destitute city, and it's a depressing place, but there are great things happening here. And since I've come back here, I jump on anybody that say anything negative about Flint, I mean, there's great things happening, and we have to continue to spotlight those things. I'm just looking for my piece here. I'm going to read this piece that I'll probably end up reading to the kids. It's called I Need My Space. Oh. And it talks about MySpace and the fact that it's a place where they go to get away from the outside world, and they think that they're going to this place where they're actually somebody. And that's what MySpace and Facebook and all these other communities and societies are about. You can be whoever you want to be. I can create a whole new profile. I can be 25 with a Jaguar and, I'm 6 feet. Well, I mean, I look good, but, I can have some more muscles, But when you come back out here, it's you got to deal with the same issue. So it's not an escape. So I'm going to read this piece, and it's called I Need My Space from Literacy Movement Volume 1. In a world so crowded, I head to cyberspace, looking for some space, looking for some peace, just to get away, just to belong, because out here on earth, I just don't belong. My classmates don't understand my fate, trying to fit in, yet I can't afford those brand new bathing apes. I need my space so I can try to comprehend when they say equality, but from what I can see, that's only if you mix I can. So I head to my space with my 10,000 friends where I feel important, where I really fit in. Customize my page, because at home without a dad, I can't customize my rage. Because at home with the little sibling that I'm raising, my mom is so brazen to be at the club that I was at last week. So I need my space where how many hits equals to my self-esteem number, where even though I can't afford one, my background page is that brand new Hummer. On MySpace, I don't need to talk. Nobody needs to know I have an uncool walk. Nobody needs to know that my boobs are flat. Nobody needs to know that in my house I have rats. I just need my space to breathe, to think about college when my mom says, you ain't grown without knowledge. So to escape dirty looks, I log on to Facebook to get caught in an intranet web, so I don't have to worry about registering to vote or deal with the fact that in December I may not have a winter coat. I hope my space can help me, because Craigslist ain't healthy. When pedophiles leave messages to do 5-year-old girls that ain't wealthy. Help me escape technological mind sweep. Still, I need my space. Say my prayers. Now I lay me down to sleep. That's it. See you next time. Voice of Movement. Linda, Chris. Morning meditation. What's up, Nikki? Jeff, Economy Friend. ATL. This is Fluid. Everybody, worldwide, we out of here. See you next time. Thanks, Steve.